Meghan Markle was known as a hardcore yacht partying person, ready for anything.
And for years, Meghan crafted herself into a symbol, polished, powerful, wronged. A woman draped in grace and resilience. But now Fergie whispers a different tale, a version where Meghan wasn't exiled. She arrived like royalty long before the crown and scorched every alliance that didn't bow fast enough. She didn't just climb, she burned the staircase behind her and waited for the applause to echo. And if even a fraction of Fergie's version escapes into the light, Meghan's fairytale crown won't slip. It will shatter, louder than her fading streaming numbers. And that's just the first spark. Because the truth waiting beneath, it makes everything we think we know look small. And far, far uglier.
Her man serves her no purpose. Does that sound familiar? Fergie saying, oh, you know what? I'm done. Why? Because now she no longer has the use of the title.
Long before Meghan ever locked eyes with Prince Harry, before the speeches, the sympathy, the narrative of being the misunderstood outsider, she was already navigating high society like a woman auditioning for a throne no one had offered her yet. And the person who noticed wasn't the public. It was Sarah Ferguson, watching it all like someone who knew exactly where this story was heading. Meghan wasn't famous then, not really. But she knew how to orbit influence, how to slip into rooms where titles mattered more than talent, where power was inherited, not earned. The world still labeled her just the girl from Suits, but Fergie allegedly saw something else. A woman sliding into billionaire circles, political rooms, and old money networks with the ease of someone who'd practiced the entrance for years. Marcus Anderson wasn't a friend, he was an access point. And Soho House? That wasn't a lounge. It was a training ground. A chessboard where Meghan studied the right lives to touch, the right alliances to build, and the right ladder to climb, as fast and as quietly as possible.
He is like a parasite, always lurking in their shadow. No normal family has a constant third wheel, male or female, leeching onto their every move. Marcus is practically glued to them.
And then came the Jamaica private jet trip. Not for charity, not for a noble cause, but for access. Meghan wasn't tagging along for fun. She had secured an invitation to one of those rare social events where invitations are currency and attendees are worth more than diamonds. A destination wedding stocked with billionaire heirs, aristocratic bloodlines, and global elites who could alter a career with a handshake. Fergie didn't see a timid newcomer overwhelmed by wealth. She saw a woman with intent. A woman scanning the room like a strategist, absorbing power, marking opportunity, stepping through doors most people never get close to. The surprising part? Harry wasn't the target yet, not truly. Meghan wasn't chasing one royal. She was positioning herself near power itself, and Sarah Ferguson recognized the ambition long before the rest of the world.
Listen, I brought Meghan Markle, whatever her name is, to my Deal or No Deal celebrity golf tournament.
But in the end, nothing beats the truth, the real facts.
She was one of my Deal or No Deal girls that were, she was a caddy for all of my celebrities.
But what's most shocking isn't Meghan's network or her social circles. It's something she said in those early days. A comment Sarah Ferguson never forgot. And that's where things begin to unravel. Because when Meghan officially stepped into the royal world, the Yorks, Beatrice, Eugenie, and Fergie, weren't cold or jealous. They were welcoming. They saw a woman facing the same scrutiny they had lived through for years. Headlines twisting the truth, judgment from tabloids, and a public that decides who you are before you ever speak. Instead of treating her like an outsider, they embraced her. Fergie especially didn't see a threat. She saw someone who needed guidance. She offered advice, insider perspective, and kindness behind the palace walls, giving support Meghan later claimed she never received. To the York women, she wasn't competition. She was a newcomer they wanted to protect, at least at first.
But she arrived in London, full career, single girl, wasn't interested. Of course, she'd been coming to London since 2013, hunting for a man to marry. She wanted an Englishman. She was on a man hunt.
For a while, everything appeared harmonious. Tea visits, shared rooms, warm smiles at family events. The Yorks believed they were watching a fairy tale unfold, not a threat. They cheered for Meghan. They defended her. They made space. Then the moment her relationship with Harry deepened, the atmosphere shifted like a storm rolling over Buckingham. The grateful newcomer allegedly began carrying herself like she'd already climbed the hierarchy, like the crown was already orbiting her head. Beatrice and Eugenie, women born into royalty, were suddenly treated like props in a story Meghan believed she was destined to star in. Fergie saw it before anyone else. Meghan's tone cooled. Her interest faded. Conversations became currency. Kindness turned into strategy. It wasn't stress creating distance, it was priority. She didn't climb above them. She walked right over them. Everyone loves a success story, but scandal sells faster. And nothing sells like a fallen favorite. What cut deepest wasn't just the attitude, it was how fast it arrived. The woman they championed shifted overnight, leaving the Yorks stunned, blinking, wondering what changed. But the worst wound wasn't caused by conflict. It came from something far colder. One day, Meghan simply stopped responding. No explanation. No courtesy. No goodbye. A relationship they thought was real died without a fight, just a void. One message unanswered. One call ignored. And Sarah Ferguson learned the truth not through betrayal, but but through silence, the kind that echoes louder than any headline.
The more you know Sarah Ferguson, the more you realize actually what a villain she is. She was actually in touch with Epstein for years afterwards, staying in his flat.
And this wasn't just some overlooked text in the chaos of royal headlines and wedding preparations. This was a sincere outreach, a moment where Fergie extended kindness, guidance, and comfort. She wanted to check in, to support, to connect. Meghan didn't respond. Not a word. Not even a polite acknowledgement. For Fergie, it wasn't an accident. It was a message. Meghan had decided who mattered now, and the Yorks were no longer part of her circle. That single unanswered call became the moment everything turned. He didn't feel like simple disrespect. It felt like erasure, quiet, deliberate, absolute. And it confirmed what Fergie had feared all along. Meghan didn't build relationships, she cycled through them. One door opened, another closed. One alliance served its purpose, another was replaced. The sting wasn't in the silence itself, but in what it revealed. The warmth the Yorks had given her wasn't valued, it was consumed. Temporary, transactional, discarded the moment it no longer advanced her story. Family loyalty didn't matter unless it fit the image Meghan was crafting, and once she outgrew them, she simply walked away without looking.
It really is. It's because you just cringe. You just think, it's not me.
Free for the first time, the mask slipped. Fergie didn't see the glowing duchess or the polished humanitarian. She saw the architect behind the image, a woman powered by ambition, calculation, and silence sharp enough to cut. And once that truth clicked, Fergie finally understood what Meghan feared most. Not critics, not headlines, her past resurfacing. Because if Meghan thought that ignoring Fergie meant their history would stay buried, she played the wrong hand. Of all the people who watched her rise, the private jets, the curated social circles, the invitations into elite rooms before Hollywood ever claimed her, Fergie remembers everything. She knows the players who shaped Meghan's public glow, the power brokers who lifted her status, the connections scrubbed clean from the narrative. If Fergie ever chooses to speak publicly, it won't be about fashion choices or tiara drama. It will be about the blueprint Meghan tried to erase. And that's where the story tilts, because Meghan and Fergie are far more alike than anyone wants to admit. Both ambitious, both strategic, both survivors of royal politics. People say Fergie never trashed the monarchy publicly, but there were rumors of leverage, information, even mutual blackmail buried under royal carpets. She's navigated scandal, secrecy, and the same shadows Meghan now walks through. And the most devastating twist: Fergie allegedly knows Meghan wasn't captivated by Harry himself, but by what he represented. Royalty, prestige, power. The story goes deeper, darker. Fergie reportedly knows which royal Meghan's attention gravitated toward first. And it wasn't Harry. Add whispers about Tom and Skip, Harry's closest friend mysteriously absent from the wedding. A situation Fergie is said to know inside out. It's the kind of detail the palace would pay to keep quiet. None of this is guesswork or tabloid imagination. Fergie watched the evolution firsthand. She sat in rooms where Meghan strategized, networked, reshaped her identity like a brand launch. Meghan may outrun reporters, but she can't outspin someone who lived the story beside her. And the most explosive part: Fergie hasn't spoken. Not because she can't, but because she's choosing when. For Meghan, that silence is far scarier than any headline. While Meghan clings to the idea that she's still central to the royal narrative, the palace has moved into cold strategic mode. Fergie, once sidelined, is now suddenly useful. Meghan isn't. Buckingham Palace isn't protecting her image, isn't running defense, isn't putting out fires. Because when someone stops serving the crown stops shielding them. And Meghan, she's become expendable that if things turn ugly, she's the sacrifice piece. Fergie, meanwhile, is rising back into relevance. Not through sympathy or PR rehabilitation, but because she carries the nuclear information everyone else is afraid to touch. Harry and Meghan can deny, deflect, restructure PR talking points, but Fergie has first-hand memory and nothing left to lose. You can't threaten someone who's already survived royal scandal, financial ruin, and public humiliation. Now she's uncaged, unfiltered, and unafraid. She isn't a tabloid rumor. She isn't a commentator guessing in the dark. She was there, watching, learning, remembering. And Meghan picked her as an enemy without understanding the danger. A woman with receipts doesn't need revenge loudly. She only needs timing. And every day Fergie stays silent isn't peace, it's a countdown. Whether it comes through an interview, a book, a leak, or a tell-all documentary, Meghan's carefully curated narrative cannot withstand a witness who refuses to be controlled. Meghan didn't just burn bridges. She torched the one person capable of unraveling the entire myth. For years, Meghan owned her story, the misunderstood duchess, the outsider battling an ancient institution. But that version only works if everyone else stays quiet. And Fergie is no longer quiet. She's measured, strategic, waiting, the most dangerous kind of opponent. The storm hasn't landed. Not yet. But it's on the horizon, and Meghan can feel it. If you want the full origin of this fallout, where the first crack appeared, where the downfall began, watch our previous deep dive. You'll recognize it instantly. Sarah Ferguson reveals the shocking truth about her relationship with Meghan Markle.